guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we'll be learning how to cut a palazzo pants, and here I have my measurements as the waist 36, hip 42, crotch depth 13, trouser length 40, tights measurement as 26. So as you can see in this video, I've already marked out the lines that I need for this cutting, and I'm just going to explain how I got my hip line and the crotch depth. So from your measurements, the measurements of my clients is actually for the hip length is 11. So I'm just going to take away 2 here because this 2 is required for the band, and you can see that at this point I have my 11 inches. Then for the crotch depth is 13, and how I got this 13, there are 2 ways or more that you can actually use to get your crotch depth measurements. Is either the person sits on a flat surface and then you take your tape measuring from the points where the person usually wear his or her trouser down to the bottom points of the chair surface. Whatever you get is going to be what you're going to use for your crotch depth. Or you can say the outer seam minus the inseam will give you your crotch depth. So here my crotch depth is actually 13, and that was why I created a line. And then the full length of my palazzo trouser is 40 inches, but I'm going to be making it 42 inches for folding because I would want it to be a big folding as far I have enough materials. But in case you don't have enough material, you can just add 1 inch for your folding. So that is that. I'm then going to take in my horizontal measurement, and firstly I'm going to begin by my hip measurement. So I happen to have my hip measurement to be 42 divided by 2. You are going to have what? 10.5. So here I'm going to point out 10.5 from this end. I'm going to mark out 10.5 plus 1 inch allowance, for my sewing. So I'm going to have this. Then for my crotch depth, which is this line, I'm going to have my crotch depth using my thigh measurements, which is 26. 26 divided by 2, I'm going to have what? 13. So from this point here, I'm going to measure out 13 inches, and I'll just mark that here, plus 1 inch, which is making it 14. So I'm going to mark that here. So using my curve ruler or your freehand, whichever one is suitable for you, or you can use, you're just going to draw to connect this in a curved line. So I have basically done that already, and then the next thing I will do is that I'm going to carefully take my hip line, this point here, I will trace it up to this point because it is from this point that will determine my waist measurement. So I'm just going to take this straight up here. So I have gotten a straight line from my hip points to the waist. So this part now is going to determine my waist. So what do I have here as my waist? My waist is actually 36. 36 divided by 4, I'm going to have 9. So from this point, I'm going to from this very point here, I'm going to determine my waist measurement. So I'm going to calculate 9 plus 1 inch for sewing allowance, which is 10. So I'm just going to mark that here. So I'm going to connect this now to this very point, which is my hip line. So from this point of my crotch depth now, I'm just going to connect that straight to my full length of the trouser. So I'm just going to cut that out now. So this is basically what you are going to have for the front section of the palazzo pants. So this is my front piece, and I've already folded the next material in order to cut the back, but you can see here I actually brought the front piece a little bit down, leaving this space because I'm going to explain the reason why I left this space here. So after dropping my front piece on top of this material, after folding it this way, I'm just going to add some inches at this region in order to cut the back. For the crotch depth, I'm going to add 2.5 here. but this actually differs in individuals. Some persons you can add 1.5, 2 inches, 3 inches or 2.5 depending on how big the person is, which is the size. So based on the size of this person, I'm going to be adding 2.5 here, which is this. I'm going to be adding 2.5. Then slightly below, I'm just going to add 2 inches, which I'm just going to mark that all through down to the trouser length. So after connecting this right now, as you see here, I'm just going to come up here, and also at my hip region, I'm going to add 2 inches, and not what I added here. I'm going to add 2 inches for my hip and add 2 inches to my waist side. Then I'm just going to connect that together. So at this very point here now, I'm just going to connect this up here. As you see me do so. So from this point, this is our waistline for our trouser side. This is our waistline. So from this very point here, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. I'm going to go up by 2 inches, and then I'm going to connect this to the waist side in a slant line. So that is all for the back, and I'm simply going to cut out. So after cutting the back piece, next you're going to do is to join the front part of the trouser together like this. When you join the front part together, you end it here, and then you join the back part of the trouser and end it there. Once you are done joining that, you take your measurements of the side. That's the measurement of the person's body. You take it at the side of each front, and then open the back piece and then place it this way. Once you sew the front part like this and end it here, you do the same for the back, and you're going to have something like this. You're going to have something like this when you join it together. You will have something like this. So once you do that, you take the back and this together and place it and sew at both sides, and also this way. You sew it like that. So once you are done joining them together, so the next thing you will do after joining that is to get a long strap like this and fold it together. Once you fold it together, ensure that it's already 2.5. What I mean 2.5 is that, remember when we were taking our measurement, we took away 2 inches from our trouser. So we need to replace 2 inches plus ½ inches for joining allowance. So that is what I did here. As you can see, it's 2.5 at this region. So ½ inch is going to be used for your joining. So you are going to get a long strap as long as possible, which when after joining, you are going to sew it round the waist of your trouser. And that brings us to the end of this video. So please, if you like this channel, please do subscribe, like, and also share this video. Thank you very much.